So let's jump into it. So the team. So just by way of introduction, really, and an overview. So iCoTech isn't just me. We've got a team of individuals you can see on the screen here today. So Geraint's hosting this session with me today and helping us facilitate these sessions. But then you've got Matt, Aaron, and Richard, who are heavily involved in all our engagements across our client base at the moment. But as you can see, we've got specialists in Office 365, PPM tools, the Power Platform, and Power BI itself. And we'll come on to that in a bit more detail later on. But just by way of background and history, so I started my career in Welsh Water in PMO, and then I went on to Lloyds Banking Group, and then I spent 5 years in Babcock International Group. Ended up as the head of projects and governance across that organisation, delivering a portfolio of technology and business-led change across the globe. So, and then I stepped out then in my consultancy role and formed iCoTech as a consultancy change partner and helped companies house with their transformational change journey. And now today we've grown iCoTech to service some major clients here in the UK. So Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, Intellectual Property Office, Office for National Statistics, flipping it, can't get my words out today, and Yorkshire Tea, Betty's and Taylor's. So we have some other customers as well, but they're our kind of flagship customers that we're working with at the moment, delivering portfolio and PMO services at the moment. So what do we do? Our service landscape. So we're a Microsoft partner. So we solely deliver Microsoft products and solutions, but we specialize in the 3 products there on the top of the screen. So Power BI, Power Platform, and Project Online. So very much in the Power Platform, Project Online space. And then we have obviously our BI capability then to help us visualize the data. So we're really excited about building visual dashboards, which I'll come on to a bit later on. In order to deliver those services, though, we have skills in Dynamics CRM, Teams, SharePoint, Flow, Power Automate, Exchange, and OneDrive, and the rest of the Office 365 suite as well. So that's our kind of service landscape, and obviously we support customers as well. So when we're building these kind of innovative market-leading products to help organizations deliver their portfolios of change, they need someone on hand to help them should they try and break it or do something clever or iterate on it. We're always on hand to help them. So that's a bit about iCoTech, who we are. Okay, cool. So the problem we see a lot of our customers facing. So I've tried to kind of narrow this and focus this to project portfolio management specifically. And what we get lots of organizations come to us saying we just can't keep track of the activity. It's not just major projects. Major projects are dealt with in a certain way. They're treated with a certain level of governance. But actually, I've just got a list of things to do. How do I actually track those? How do I monitor those? And maybe I've got users who aren't project managers who just want a really intuitive interface to use. They don't want the feeling of a full-blown system. They just want to be kind of directed and navigated through a tool. But how do I allow individuals to know what actions are assigned, what tasks they've got assigned to them? So we've got organizations using a myriad of different tools, but how do I see all the tasks in one place? So how do we know kind of, I guess, the risks and the issues across the portfolio? That's really important. So tracking risks and issues just simplistically, keeping it simple, keeping it effective, keeping it usable, I guess, is key. And whilst we do have customers coming to us with this problem at a portfolio level and an enterprise level, maybe they've got 300 projects on their portfolio, we get a lot of customers coming to us saying we've got 20 projects. This today kind of answers the 20 to 100 projects kind of activity list question, really. If you're going to be delivering any more than maybe 100 projects concurrently, and they're real projects with detailed schedules, then we would probably refer to Project Online, which is a different tool that we've demoed previously and happy to discuss with anybody on the call today. But yeah, how do we report on the data? So how do we get this data out of this tool in a simple and visual way? That's really important. One of the slides I really like from my previous kind of demos is actually the tools available to you within Office 365. I just like this as a landscape because it just shows you what's available to you in Office 365. And I say out of the box subject to licenses. Obviously, you've got to pay a bit more for the licenses on the right hand side there. But within inclusive Office 365, you've got Excel, To Do, Planner, all those things, which are really, really useful. I think if you've used Planner today, you'll see some synergies with the tool that we've built using Project for the Web and Planner. You'll see some synergies with the kind of Kanban board approach, which I'll come on to a bit later on. But there's all these tools that we deliver for a myriad of customers across the globe, and they're all really useful for their individual kind of use cases and scenarios. But today we're going to talk about particularly project for the web, and how that works for some of our clients who've got a unique requirement, I guess, for managing and tracking change. Cool. So what we call it is kind of light solution. It's a light project management solution, really. But actually, it's built up of a number of components, and I want to make that clear in this slide. So first of all, you may have heard of Project for the Web. So Project for the Web is an application built by Microsoft on their new Power Platform. So it's using the common data service, and effectively, I call it the engine for schedule management. Okay, so in this tool we're about to show you, we have an app that sits on the front of it, but actually the engine for schedule management, task management, timeline, dependency management, outline resource management, and the kind of the permission control and permission function is actually all driven from Project for the Web. And so that's kind of really, I guess, pertinent to understand. And what we've done then is we've built an app that sits on the top of that using Power Apps. So again, a lot of our customers will say, when I say a Power App, they go, well, I don't want a mobile phone app. It's like, no, hang on. A Power App is actually a system designing tool. So we can build a system, and it's the new user interface for Dynamics 365. So you'll see that in a few moments' time. But effectively, everything outside the schedule engine, program management, life cycle management, if you've got a series of stages and gates that you want your project to go through, risk and issue management, so tracking risk logs, and all that content that goes with that, the financial management of the project, actions, decisions, and all the metadata and the data and the information that's associated with the project. So we had a client earlier that wanted to categorize their projects between internally facing projects and externally facing projects, because whilst they delivered projects internally, they also delivered projects to customers. So they wanted to categorize that on the system. So that was a 20-second thing to go and do. But it's important to kind of, I guess, understand that there's Project for the Web, which is that schedule engine, and then there's the Power App on top of that. That allows us to do all those other things around the outside of a schedule, basically. Okay, and then we've used Power BI. So Power BI is a great tool for visualizing the data that's in the tool. So whether it's status reports, portfolio dashboards, we've done trend analysis. So we capture statuses over time, and we can see the movement of projects in and out of the portfolio. Integration with other data sets as well. So we've got a lot of customers that want to integrate with Xero or Sage or even Dynamics. And the data is not necessarily held in the light project management solution. It's held somewhere else, maybe in Jira or something like that. We can point Power BI to Jira and make the user experience feel like it's in the same place. So one dashboard actually looking at two different data sets is really, really useful for lots of our customers. And then risk and issue reporting. So all the data that we capture within the tool or within the project schedule engine can all come out of Power BI, and then the resource reporting as well. So we could do an element of resource reporting quite simply in this solution. But the key thing is to note that the user, my funny looking man icon then, confuses me why he doesn't have a face, but anyways, he accesses the tool through the project online, the Power App itself. So it's important to note that you're accessing through the Power App, but you're calling on these services that are in the back end, really. And then the Power App is visualizing that to you. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go on to the demo itself. So here is the model-driven app effectively. So what we have here is all the items in the system we've built so far. You can see you've got home pages, recents, and you can categorize these to your requirement. So I've got effectively resources, details like the specifics, and then the portfolio of change itself. I like the hierarchy of the portfolio, has many programs in it, and then many programs have many projects in it. That's how my brain works as a ex-portfolio and head of projects and governance. So, that's how I work. But if you had kind of maybe change requests, continuous improvement initiatives, or even, contract changes or cases, or it could be anything, or applications, grants, it really, really could be whatever you want these entities to be. You could customize them to your heart's content. So what we have then is in this example, we have a program that is effectively an item, a record that's going through a series of stages. So we're able to capture data on this record, this project itself. You can see here that we're able to select RAG statuses, program statuses, put email addresses in here if we need to add email addresses. The data really is totally to your specific requirement. And we do have some out of the box standards that we suggest, but you can really use your own imagination, I guess, to I guess each customer has their own set of requirements here. So you can have these blue icons, which were new to me when we started developing in this about a year ago now. These are optional requests. So we have the red asterisk, that's a mandatory field. But sometimes you want a field that is used more often than not. Therefore, this is optional. So it's quite a cool little feature there. We can then build these pages. So you can see here we've got some finance pages. Different users will come into the system and use different pages. And then as we go through the life cycle, we're able to have like a gate checklist. So I remember 10 years ago, I had an Excel spreadsheet with gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, and before the project can move from one stage to the other, they had to go through gate 1 or gate 2. And this is the modern way of doing it. So have you done X? Yes. Have we done Y? Yes. And how does what do I need to do in order to get from inception in this example through to business case? And we have actually started creating flows as well. So we could say actually your sponsor needs to approve this project, so you need to run the flow, and we can approve that in the background really. Or like this one here, this is a really simple stage. You can just move it to the next stage and not really have any governance or control around that. So yeah, that's the pages that we can construct. Again, if you're not using programs, you might be using strategic themes or cases or kind of grants, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be programs. It's just the art of the possible really, in this sense. And then in this scenario, then we have a series of projects. Then, so every project links to a program, and then we can drive reporting in the background. Really, that's the idea of this. So here you can see that we've got a program here where I can link it to the program itself, and so on and so forth. So just going to fill out these because I think it will shout at me if I try to save it and this doesn't. So I think there's a hidden field over here which does. So effectively you can go through, you can fill out this project, go through a series of stages, and build this out as much as you want. We have customers with RAG statuses as well, so you could say red, amber, or green. You can automate this as well. So we are currently building a little module that allows you to automate the RAG status based on the sub data within the project itself. So project for the web. So I was on my slide earlier, you saw that I had project for the web being the schedule engine that effectively runs this, the component here, and that component is this. So this is about creating your tasks, building your schedules up for each of your projects, and building your Microsoft project plans. Effectively, this is what this is. You can change all these artifacts, percentage complete, so you can kind of build out your plan, your schedule for each of your projects. The other interesting thing as well is if you're used to using Planner, this is where I was saying that actually Planner's got a link here, that you can move these cards from one board to the other. It's quite intuitive. Or you can maybe add a task like this. So if your user community isn't so much detailed project planners or project schedulers, they're just maybe operational staff in the business, they might be more used to having something like this that's not so full on, I guess, in terms of detailed schedules in a Microsoft project view. But then you do still have the Gantt chart. So I love a Gantt chart, as many project professionals will, and you can interrogate this chart really, as much or as little as you want to. You can even move them. I tend to be, if I'm honest, I tend to not move them here. I tend to move them in the schedule just because that's how my brain works. But you can see if somebody's more visual and wants to kind of manipulate tasks, they can do here, and so on and so forth. So You can see the art of the possible, really, with what you guess you can do with the tool itself. Okay. Each, as you can see here, each of these projects, then we've created risk and issues are really important for project management, isn't it? So we've created a risk list and an issues list. We have started creating work packages as well. But in this list, you could effectively create your risk log, and you could add a risk in here. We've kind of added all the fields that we think would be required, but again, through each of the deployments, we ask the customer exactly how they want to, this to look. These drop downs are totally configurable again. And we add dates in which the risk is due, for example, and categorizations as well. So again, all these are don't do that. Press the wrong button. All these are totally configurable to the requirement, really. Let's hope I haven't missed anything mandatory. No, I haven't. A few. So that was the test risk I added 2 seconds ago, and you could do the same for issues as well. Okay, so one of the things to think about is what are the fields that are required in this tool itself. This is the kind of what comes out of the box, and then you can see the type of fields that we go and add. How we do that is we take the Excel spreadsheet that's probably used in most occasions, and we digitize that Excel spreadsheet. So we can do that very quickly. If you've got a template in Excel that you're using, for a risk and issues log or an action log, it's really simple for us to come and take that and digitize it effectively, really. But effectively, then you're able to track all your projects. These are all my projects, and then I'm able to use views to see all of the projects across the portfolio. So you can see all the other test projects and dummy projects in the tool itself. Okay. When you add a resource to the project, you're actually building up an enterprise resource pool. So currently this project is only shared with me, but I could, for example, share it with somebody else in the team. And actually it uses Office 365 groups to control those permissions as well. So if you're used to using groups in Office 365 with the associated SharePoint site, this uses the same technology effectively. It creates a group for every project that's created in the system. Okay. So what that does then is allows you then to go and create your resource pool. So effectively it says, well, every user is able to be booked on a project, and you can store attributes against the user. So maybe their cost rate or their working hours or any of those activities. You could give them available hours, or you could even plug in your holiday system as well to say that actually this person's unavailable on this day, therefore you can't schedule them into a task, and it takes that into consideration. So it's really, really powerful. But it's really full of opportunity, I guess, to allow you to build it and customize it and configure it to meet your requirement. You can have other resources as well. I think you can have kind of rooms and cables and that kind of thing if you're into that. So you can configure it to do that should you wish. And you can make people inactive, I guess, if you wanted to have somebody like maybe a head of projects. In my previous role, I wouldn't be bookable to a project. But I'd be a resource in the system, but I wouldn't be bookable to a project. And this is where we kind of blend into CRM now. So this account entity is actually taken from a test dynamic CRM environment. But if you're using dynamic CRM and each of your projects relates to an account, this is where you can link that up. So you could actually have, say, a sales team delivering a pitch and winning a piece of work, recording that pitch as, or that opportunity as won, awarded, and then it will create obviously the subsequent account and the subsequent project in this tool. So it flows through seamlessly because this is part of Dynamics 365 environment effectively. Okay. Furthermore, then you've got your contacts. So if you've got a big list of contacts in your organization, I know one of our customers, they deliver projects internally and they deliver projects externally. So they want a list of all their contacts. They've got thousands of contacts in here, and they're able to kind of control permissions and assign tasks to those contacts as well. Okay. You can also add in links. I don't want to click this because I know this is Google. So you can add in external links. I don't want to take me away from here, but you can add in external links to other sites like SharePoint, etc., etc. One of the other problems we talked about earlier was that how do I see all my risks and all my issues? And if you're used to using a SharePoint list, that you'll kind of be familiar with this concept, and actually it's the same architecture underneath to be able to configure these lists. what you can do is you can create these views effectively to see all the risks within the tool. And you can use Power BI, which I'll come on to show you in a minute, which shows it more graphically, I think. But this is just effectively all the risk across all those projects in one single view. And you can create these views as you require. Really, they're really simple to go and create. So here are all the risks. Here are all the issues. Although there are none, I haven't added it in yet. And then there's work packages as well. So this is just another custom entity that we thought about creating, because a lot of people work in work packages. For example, if you wanted to pay an individual or a supplier based on the completion of a work package, this is how we would do it. We go and construct a work package list, and you'd be able to go and edit the record, say that this person's completed or this person hasn't, and so on and so forth. And then remember the task scheduling engine that I showed you earlier on? Well, actually, these are all the tasks across the tool. So if you wanted to filter this by me, I want to see all my tasks, I could build a view that says, my open tasks, and these are all the ones that are assigned to me. And then furthermore, you can go and interact with these tasks in this view as well, and start adding records that say I've done this or I've done that to this project or this task. Adding a note to say that I've actually completed this task, or maybe assigned it to somebody else as well. So it's really, really intuitive, really, really powerful, and the art of the possible is pretty fantastic, to be honest. Next steps is the output, really. So I'm just going to navigate my way over to the Power BI reporting, and just show you that in a second. So what comes with let me just find this one. Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds. Did I click on the wrong thing? I probably did. Bear with me 2 seconds. So what we find is a lot of our customers, they want to have a report in place, really, but they don't really know the art of the possible, what's available to them. So what we're able to use is Power BI. So Power BI is obviously available within Office 365, subject to licenses, of course. But you're able to create these quite intuitive dashboards and quite a user-friendly dashboard. So you can see here that we've got a number of projects in the system. This project here, my iCoTech test project from earlier on, I've got 2 future tasks. One task is on track, and two tasks are overdue, and so on and so forth. So you can just see some of that data pulling through from the system itself. All right, and all this is quite intuitive. So you can see the projects by project manager. So Matthew's got 2 projects. I've got 6. And it updates the system for you. Darren's got 4. So you can see how you can use it. And again, this is all out of the box and standards. You don't have to configure any of this to make it work. You just have to make sure you have the right fields in the tool to enable it to kind of produce the output, obviously capturing the appropriate data. Cool. So we could talk about milestones. This is obviously a Gantt chart. We could talk about milestones up and come in as well. If you wanted to record milestones, it's just basically a 0-day task. You can record those milestones, and then resources as well. So you can show, actually, we've got 6 resources in the tool. How are they utilized? And you could break that down if you wanted to into either a generic resource or focus it on an individual itself. And just want to reiterate, we haven't built any of this effectively. This is a content pack that's available from Microsoft that comes when we go and deploy project for the web to our clients' environments. But it gives you a baseline, I guess, a foundation. Doesn't work perfectly all the time, but it just gives you, a baseline, as I say, to go and iterate on. So a lot of our customers will come back in a few months' time and say, look, I've got these 10 changes to make to the reports, and it'll work perfectly for me and my business. And that's really a good place to start, rather than having to build all these tasks, all these reports from scratch. Sorry. Not necessarily get it right. So again, we can see that the 5 tasks that are overdue here. So across the portfolio, I want to see all the tasks that are overdue and what projects they relate to. You can filter maybe by bucket. So we've got projects in buckets or tasks in buckets that I showed you earlier on the Kanban board. Again, that's a really useful tool for seeing all this activity across the portfolio. All right. And then the timeline then, so this again, it's similar to that, but it's on a task level rather than the project level. And there are some other reports in here, like my work and my timeline as well, more specific and tailored to you as an individual. Okay, so that's Power BI, that's the content pack. But the use case for that, we get many customers that are going to portfolio boards, program boards, business change boards in their organization, and they just want to show all the activity ongoing at any one point. Furthermore, if you've got a senior stakeholder that wants to see the portfolio change very, very quickly, they can log onto this dashboard. It's real time, it refreshes every couple of hours, and it does an interim in between. So it's really up to date, one version of truth, and that's how it works really. Um, okay, so just going back to my slide then, just by way of kind of catch up and I guess roundup. Um, so what can we do in Project for the Web? So we can do a lot really. We can do portfolio prioritization using a prioritization mechanism. We can use, we've got project scheduling approaches, resource management. I showed you the resource pool you can build. Time recording. We have a timesheeting solution in there as well that we can deliver if required. And then the team collaboration. So having all your tasks in one place is really, really powerful. Digitization of your RAID logs then. So if you want to add action logs or issues logs, decision logs, we can do that as well. Project reporting, demand management. So if you want to see how many projects are coming in the future versus how many you're delivering now, you can do all that element of activity as well. So just then, by way of kind of setting the scene in terms of the common data service then and the Power Platform. So as I said, a Project for the Web is part of that Power Platform, which allows us to integrate that tool with all these other services. So Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and the Power Virtual Agents as well. So if you wanted to add chatbots in there, you can do if you want to. But also the real kind of thing that we use is the data connection and the common data service. So the integration with other services is really, really powerful. And we can integrate with all these other systems here on the screen, specifically, particularly Dynamics 365 is just so powerful. And Jira as well. So we have had a government client who had a Jira board who wanted to integrate with Project, and we've built that using Power Automate. All right, so we allow those people to carry on using their own tools. Just the benefits then. So, simply put, this is a really quick delivery of a technology that allows you to simply keep track of all your projects across the portfolio or the organization, or the team. If you want to just reduce this to a team level, you can do. You can assign tasks. So each activity, each project has a set of tasks which you can assign to individuals. And then you can track your risks and issues and use the dynamic reporting to see those risks and issues. And then you can, if you want to be able to say how many resources are we using across the organization, you can do that using this service as well. So, maybe there's 50 different resources and this much FTE across the organization. And then it's using Power BI to get one version of the truth. Okay. So just by way of deployment then, so just by context, just to show you the level of simplicity and I guess the approach that we take is that we effectively can deploy what you've just seen today in its simplest form within 24 hours. So we've built all the systems, all the components within Office 365, and therefore, given access to an environment, we're able to migrate our service over, and then we're able to customize those fields as required. So within that time frame as well. So we have a customer last week who came to us and said, "Look, I just want to digitize my project, my Excel spreadsheets." And we took all those Excel spreadsheets, we built those over within 24 hours, and had that available in their system, in their environment. You obviously do need a project online license to be able to do that. So Power BI, if you want to use those Power BI reporting. But what that does is enable project management and task management across any business. And it gives you a platform for the future to grow, really. Okay, and then you can have configurable dashboards on there as well. So you can play around with the Power BI dashboards. If you had like an internal BI resource, you could use that resource to go and build those dashboards then, should you wish. Okay. So that's really it from me. If it wasn't